The Senate Banking Committee hearing room grew quiet as Senator Marco Rubio leaned into his microphone, his expression tense with frustration. The Florida Republican directed his remarks sharply at Representative Jasmine Crockett, who had been invited as an expert witness on disaster insurance reform. Congresswoman Rubio began, his tone edged with irritation. "You sit there representing Dallas, lecturing Florida and other coastal states about insurance policies when you have no real understanding of our unique challenges." As cameras zoomed in, Rubio, the seasoned senator and former presidential candidate, continued his pointed remarks. "You promote government mandates and regulations that would further damage our insurance market. You advocate for federal control that would take away state authority. Yet you claim to know better than those of us who have spent years addressing these issues." Committee members shifted uneasily as Rubio's remarks intensified. Chairman Sherrod Brown attempted to step in, but Rubio motioned for him to stop. "The American people deserve to know," Rubio said firmly, "that Democrats like Representative Crockett want to enforce one-size-fits-all insurance solutions. It may sound appealing, but it would harm homeowners across Florida and other coastal regions." Throughout the exchange, Congresswoman Crockett remained calm, quietly organizing the papers before her. The freshman Democrat from Texas showed no visible reaction to the senator's criticism. What followed, however, would silence the room. Crockett had arrived with detailed research on Florida's collapsing insurance market and on Rubio's own voting record related to disaster relief. Within minutes, she would use hard data to directly counter his claims before millions watching at home. Before continuing, take a moment to like and subscribe so you don't miss updates on major political moments shaping Washington. Now, back to the moment when Senator Rubio believed he had the upper hand, unaware that Crockett was about to shift the entire discussion using verifiable facts. Rubio was not just any senator questioning a Democratic representative. The 53-year-old Republican from Florida had built much of his reputation on defending his state against federal interference. As a long-serving senator from a hurricane-prone region, he often referenced his experience with disaster recovery to strengthen his credibility. "The challenges facing Florida's insurance market," Rubio declared, standing confidently in his tailored suit, "require specialized solutions and an understanding of our state's unique conditions, not generic federal mandates from someone representing inland Texas, where hurricane risk is minimal." The hearing had originally aimed to address the national property insurance crisis, but Rubio had turned it into a broader critique of Democratic reform proposals. Committee members were familiar with his polished delivery and firm defense of Florida's autonomy, speeches that often drew media attention. Across the room sat Jasmine Crockett, the first-term Democratic representative from Texas's 30th District. At 42, the former civil rights attorney and state legislator had already made a mark as a sharp legal thinker with a commanding presence during hearings. Unlike Rubio, Crockett had spent years representing clients in disputes against insurance companies before being elected to Congress in 2022. The distinguished representative from Texas, Rubio continued sarcastically, comes from a district that has not faced the level of loss we have in Florida, yet she feels qualified to lecture us on how to manage our markets. Crockett remained poised, reviewing her notes on a tablet. Unlike others who had faced Rubio's aggressive questioning, she was well prepared. Her staff had spent weeks compiling data on state-by-state insurance failures, with a particular focus on Florida's situation and Rubio's own record on reform. This hearing was about more than a political disagreement. It was about how the nation would confront an escalating crisis impacting millions of homeowners. Rubio argued that insurance regulation should remain under state control with minimal federal involvement, while Crockett pushed for a stronger federal framework to stabilize markets and protect consumers. With tensions rising, Chairman Brown reminded the room that Rubio's allotted time had expired. "I will yield back, Mr. Chairman," Rubio replied, "but let us remember that some of us actually understand these markets from experience, not from academic theories." His Republican colleagues nodded approvingly, assuming he had ended on a strong note, but Representative Crockett slowly closed her tablet, a small, confident smile crossing her face. This was the moment she had prepared for. "The chair recognizes Representative Crockett," Brown announced, his voice steady over the murmurs in the chamber. Crockett adjusted her microphone and began, her tone calm but assertive. "Thank you, Mr. Chairman," she said evenly. "And thank you, Senator Rubio, for your passion. Insurance policy should absolutely inspire strong debate, but passion alone is not enough. We also need facts." The room grew quiet as Representative Jasmine Crockett opened a thick binder, filled with colored tabs and charts. "Senator Rubio has made serious claims about my understanding of insurance challenges," she began, "especially those affecting Florida. He suggested that my experience limits my ability to grasp what coastal states face." Rubio leaned back in his chair, confident. He had heard these kinds of defenses before, standard Democratic arguments that, in his view, never addressed his central points about state autonomy and Florida's distinct situation. "Before I respond to those remarks directly," Crockett continued, "it's important we establish some context. Senator Rubio often references his time representing Florida as giving him special insight into insurance issues. I respect that perspective, I truly do. Several Republican senators exchanged quick glances, sensing a shift in tone, but representing a state does not automatically mean understanding how failing insurance markets actually operate, she said, her voice firm. When millions of Americans are dealing with rising premiums or dropped coverage, we need more than opinions. We need verifiable data. Rubio's posture stiffened. This was not the line of defense he had anticipated. Many Democrats, when challenged, usually shifted to abstract climate arguments, something he could easily counter. Senator Rubio mentioned Florida's unique insurance problems. Crockett went on, "He is absolutely right about that. In preparing for this hearing, my team reviewed Florida's insurance market over the past 5 years, tracking premium increases, company bankruptcies, and policy cancellations." Rubio's expression tightened. The topic was politically sensitive in Florida, where multiple insurers had gone under and rates had soared. "We compared these numbers to other coastal states with similar hurricane exposure," Crockett explained, handing a packet to the committee clerk for distribution. The findings were alarming. As senators reviewed the pages, quiet murmurs spread through the room. Rubio leaned toward a colleague, whispering his concern visible. A Democratic senator was overheard saying, "These numbers cannot be accurate." "Point of order, Mr. Chairman," Rubio interjected. "I object to this ambush with undisclosed materials. That Congresswoman should have submitted these documents in advance if she intended to discuss Florida in detail." Chairman Sherrod Brown frowned slightly. "The witness may reference any publicly available data in her testimony." Crockett nodded. "Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And to clarify, all information in this report comes from the Florida Office of Insurance Regulation, the National Association of Insurance Commissioners, and industry filings with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Every source is public and pertains directly to a public issue, one affecting Senator Rubio's own constituents." Rubio's expression darkened as Crockett continued. "Now, colleagues, please turn to page 3, she said confidently. "According to Florida's official data, the average homeowners insurance premium in the state has risen 102% in just 3 years, almost triple the rate of increase seen in other Gulf Coast states with similar storm risks." Gasps rippled through the room. "The report goes further," Crockett said. "Over the past 4 years, 15 insurance companies in Florida have become insolvent or exited the market entirely. As a result, more than 1.2 million homeowners have lost coverage or been forced into the step-backed Citizens Property Insurance Corporation." Cameras caught Rubio's growing unease as murmurs filled the hearing room. He scribbled notes, clearly preparing his counterpoints. "I am not presenting this to criticize Floridians," Crockett clarified. "Insurance instability affects Americans across the country, coastal and inland. That is the point. This is not a partisan issue. It is a market failure that needs comprehensive solutions."